What is going on YouTube, and welcome back to a new video. Today we are back with another tutorial on the F1 2021 game, and what we're going to cover off is how you manage ERS effectively to win races, to be a bit more precise with your overtaking, to an overall go quicker. It's a thing that you can only do in the race, because in qualifying you kind of have to go max send. But I will show you today what you have to do to kind of have always a slight ERS advantage over your competitors. So you keep winning, you keep having a little advantage, because ERS, we know it is super powerful and you need it to use it in, well, some particular racing scenarios. If you want to overtake, if you want to defend, or if you just want to go for a fast lap because of the fastest lap point. There's lots of different, and also not to forget strategies if you want to make an undercut or overcut work, but we can also talk about this in another video. Today is literally only about the ERS management. So how to not waste any energy. First of all, we're starting from the back. It's Imola, because soon it's Imola time. I'm excited for the Imola race weekend. Saying 3 times or 4 times Imola doesn't make it better, but you know, let's get already into it. So first of all, at the start of the race, of course, you're using a bit of ERS just to get off the line. Not big trouble here. It's mainly if you start racing. So if you're already getting into kind of where you want to be, if the grid is kind of sorting out their issues after the first few corners, the positions are kind of set. Like, if you always use ERS out of every single corner, first of all, this is a big mistake. You don't want to be this guy that always presses the overtake button 24/7, because then, of course, you won't have any battery left when you actually need it. You can use it usually for a split second out of some corners if you need to, but in general, I would recommend you, if you feel like you don't have to use ERS, don't use it. And with that, I literally mean don't use it, because there's no point in using it then. Oh, a nice one. How is that not illegal? What the hell? Alright. Next thing. Being second or behind other cars is always better. You can see, if I'm right now here, I can always have a bit of slipstream, and that means the distance where you're full throttle in corners, and also when in corners, because of dirty air, it's just simply not possible to go as fast as if you're in clean air. But another thing is the distance that you travel. For example, on this straight now, because of the slipstream, I'm going quicker than if I would be in clean air. That means I'm traveling the same distance in a shorter period of time, which also means in the end, because we all know ERS works by being on the throttle to some percentage. I don't know exactly how much, we have to check. But if you are in the slipstream, you're literally covering the same distance in a shorter period of time. It means you're for a shorter time also on the throttle. It means less battery usage, which is good. And that makes you save ERS. So slipstreaming, and that's why you see always in F1 esports that P2 is usually the position to be in. It's usually actually, if you are not P2, in some races you're just losing. Like P1 or being the leading car in a pack is always gonna lose out in the end. For example, I would say Zandvoort. Zandvoort, you cannot even recover ERS usually with those wings and whatever. But yeah, this is one thing to consider. Stay behind in the slipstream. Big tip. Next tip, use the DRS, because it has literally the same effect. So now DRS is enabled, here's only one straight, but the amount of percentage that you're gonna use is quite significant. You know what we are gonna do now? We're gonna stay behind now. I'm gonna use a lot of ERS this lap, just so we are low on ERS. And then you will see the lap with DRS. Oh my god. With DRS. When I'm not spamming any ERS. DRS and slipstream behind another car. And then I will drop back and show you how it looks like if I'm in clean air. Because then you will see the percentage is dropping big time. Or like not recovering big time. You know? Always depends on the track. In some tracks you can simply not recover any ERS, it's just what it is. Also, with your setup, one tip, setup is a big key factor, which also again has a lot of impact on your ERS recovery. Like, you cannot set a specific thing to say, hey, I want to recover more. But now look, okay, one thing, DRS activated, we had 55% over the line. Let's see how much we are recovering if we don't use any ERS this lap. I hope they are not fighting too much, because this is kind of manipulating it. If I remember correctly, Imola is also quite a tricky track to manage ERS. And now imagine how it is in clean air. So 11% ERS we'll recover without any ERS usage. So what we're gonna do now, we are gonna drop to the back here. Okay, we are now gonna start preparing our next lap, which is gonna be the one in clean air. So you can see before we had 55 and we recovered to 66. That's 11 or 12%, something like that. Okay, if we cross the line now, we have clean air, 59%. All right, no ERS usage. And we recovered just barely 60. So we started at 59, we went to 64. Of course, we didn't have any dirty air, so the lap time will be kind of quicker-ish, depending on how powerful the DRS is, blah, blah, blah. We went purple now in the final sector, and so on. But you could see those were only 5%, 6% at max, compared to 11, 12. That's double on this track, just by having slipstream and DRS. So it's big. Don't underestimate how important it is on some tracks to stay behind other cars, especially on the ones where you don't recover ERS. Now the next thing, which I already kind of mentioned, which you can still actively do to increase your ERS, is lower the wings. Like, your aerodynamic profile of your setup will affect as well. It's a similar thing with DRS. So if you have less wings, if you can run less wings in the race, you will have less time in the corners where you are full throttle, so you're using less ERS there, and also you will be faster on the straights. So which means, again, you travel the same distance but in a shorter period of time, and that means ERS saving. And because you're also faster, probably at the end of the straight, you have to brake harder and earlier. So everything just adds up. Lower wings will always mean you have more ERS to play with. But you cannot just go super low with the wings. You have to kind of see, is it worth adjusting my wings big time? Is it worth actually reducing the wings? Or am I losing too much lap time? But that's a thing that you have to think about in the race situation, because in the end, that's what matters, right? Finding the right balance. But those few points that I just mentioned are the active things that you can do. So stay behind. Clean air is probably the worst thing you can do to save ERS, but on some tracks you don't actually need to be behind other cars to recover, so that you can just be smarter with your ERS usage. If you go out of corners like this, you can still use a bit of ERS, especially slow speed corners are important. High speed, they don't really matter too much. Like here, using ERS is a waste because you're anyways already at a top speed. It's more about the acceleration, and for overtaking, of course, that's a different story. But like out of these corners, it can still make sense to press it for a second or less, or this one here as well. We can maybe also make ERS track guides in the future for F1 2022, where I tell you, okay, this is where you should use ERS, so you kind of get a feeling for it and not just the gears. I think there was one more thing that I wanted to mention. Ah, yeah, okay. So aside from these things that you can actively do on track and the setup, one thing for the ERS management, which is big time, which you cannot always do, is brake drag. So brake dragging is, if you look at my input, if you do this here. Do you see the ERS? We have this harvesting bar. And if there's a safety car or virtual safety car, you anyways have to go slow. If that occurs in your league races or career mode races, think about it. Don't do it too hard, because you will lock up the tires and you will kill them. But look at it. If we hold the brakes, look how much ERS we're recovering. And you can literally go to harvesting mode, to the max. Now we have recovered as much ERS as we could this lap. We cannot recover any more, but you can literally do that in the full time and recover your ERS much quicker. That's a little life hack for you, and it will definitely pay off in lap time and also in the strategy in the end. Yeah, that's about it. Short and quick video about the ERS. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, subscribe, check out the other videos. Also activate the notification bell so you're not missing out on these tips and tricks for F1 2022 or future videos on this game still. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Peace.